You've heard the name in the headlines, the Gaza Strip. But what even is this land? Is it a country, a city, or just a flashpoint in someone else's war? Beneath the conflict lies a place with thousands of years of history, one that's been ruled by pharaohs, crusaders, Ottomans, and modern armies. Today we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most misunderstood and fiercely contested places on Earth. Let's look beyond the headlines and discover the real Gaza. Gaza is a tiny strip, just 41 kilometers long and 12 wide, hugging the Mediterranean coast, bordered by Egypt, Israel, and the sea. The only land bridge between Africa and Asia. Why is it called the Gaza Strip? The name Gaza Strip comes from two things. Gaza is the name of the region's largest and most historic city. Strip refers to the region's long, narrow shape. The name became common after 1949 when armistice lines were drawn following the First Arab-Israeli War. Egypt took control of the area around Gaza City and it became known as the Gaza Strip, to distinguish it from the city itself. So, the term really describes a territory named after its main city and the narrow strip of land caught between Egypt, Israel, and the sea. For millennia, armies and traders crossed here, making Gaza a hub for commerce and culture, and a target for conquest. Gaza's geography made it a crossroads, a meeting point, and a battleground. The land itself is layered with the dust of history. Gaza's story stretches back through the corridors of time. The story begins as a Canaanite city, a bustling hub of early civilization. Strategically positioned on the Via Maris trade route, it became a vital artery connecting empires and cultures. Caravans laden with goods traversed its paths, bringing wealth and ideas to its inhabitants. Then, around the 12th century BC, a new power emerged, the Philistines. They arrived on the shores, establishing Gaza as a central pillar of their coastal confederation. Their legacy is interwoven with myth and legend, living on in biblical tales like Samson and Delilah, a story of love, betrayal, and strength, forever set against the backdrop of Gaza's ancient streets and alleyways. But Gaza's strategic importance made it a coveted prize. Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, and the mighty Persian Empire all fought fiercely for control of this vital territory. Alexander the Great's conquest brought Greek culture to Gaza, blending with local traditions. Under Rome, Gaza thrived as a diverse, bustling city, temples, theatres, and a vibrant port. The Byzantine era saw Christianity flourish with grand churches and renowned scholars. In the 7th century, Islamic armies arrived, and Gaza became a centre of trade under Muslim rule. Crusaders seized the city briefly, but Muslim forces, including Saladin, reclaimed it. The Mamluks rebuilt Gaza, restoring its regional importance. The Ottomans ruled for 4 centuries, making Gaza a quiet but vital town in their vast empire. Life revolved around weaving, agriculture, and trade, ancient rhythms persisting through the ages. Each era left its imprint, shaping Gaza's unique identity. The map of the Middle East underwent a dramatic transformation in the early 20th century. For centuries, much of the region had been under the control of the Ottoman Empire. The empire's grip collapsed during World War I and reshaped the political landscape, paving the way for new nations and enduring conflicts. The war brought foreign powers into the region, most notably the British, who advanced into Ottoman territories. British forces captured Gaza in 1917 after fierce battles, marking a turning point in the region's history. Following the war, the League of Nations granted Britain a mandate over Palestine, which included Gaza. Under the British mandate, Gaza saw new infrastructure projects, including roads, buildings, and other essential services. These developments aimed to modernize the region, but they also served British interests. However, the mandate period was far from peaceful. Rising tensions between Arabs and Jews, fueled by competing claims to the land and increasing Jewish immigration, led to frequent protests and demonstrations. The British struggled to maintain order. The end of the British Mandate in 1948 brought an end to British rule, but it also unleashed a full-scale war. The 1948 Arab-Israeli War erupted as Arab nations sought to prevent the establishment of a Jewish state in Palestine. The war resulted in the creation of Israel. The conflict also led to a mass displacement of Palestinians. A flood of Palestinian refugees poured into Gaza. The Gaza Strip, a small coastal territory, became a crowded makeshift home for these refugees. Following the 1948 war, Gaza was administered by Egypt for nearly 2 decades, a period marked by both stability and stagnation. Life in Gaza during this time was undeniably hard, characterized by poverty and limited opportunities. Movement in and out of the Strip was heavily restricted. In 1967, the Six-Day War dramatically altered the status quo once again. Israel captured Gaza, along with the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and the Sinai Peninsula, in a swift and decisive military victory. This marked the beginning of a long and complex Israeli military occupation of Gaza. Borders were redrawn once more, solidifying Israel's control over the territory. Under Israeli occupation, Gaza became even more densely populated, with limited space and resources, leading to urban congestion and political isolation. The year 1967 marked a significant turning point in the history of Gaza as Israeli forces occupied the territory. This occupation would have profound and lasting consequences for the region and its people, setting the stage for decades of conflict and political upheaval. The occupation led to the establishment of Israeli settlements within Gaza. These settlements, viewed by many as illegal under international law, became a source of constant friction and tension between Israelis and Palestinians. The presence of settlers further complicated the already complex political landscape. The simmering tensions finally erupted in 1987 with the outbreak of the First Intifada. This uprising, characterized by widespread protests and acts of civil disobedience, signaled a new phase in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The Intifada highlighted the deep-seated grievances of the Palestinian population living under occupation. In the 1990s, the Oslo Accords offered a glimmer of hope for a peaceful resolution. These agreements, signed by Israeli and Palestinian leaders, aimed to establish a framework for a two-state solution. The Oslo Accords led to the establishment of the Palestinian Authority, granting limited self-rule to Palestinians in Gaza and parts of the West Bank. However, despite these initial steps, a lasting peace proved elusive, as numerous obstacles and setbacks hindered the peace process. In 2005, Israel made a significant decision to withdraw its settlers and soldiers from Gaza, dismantling all settlements in the territory. Following the Israeli withdrawal, hopes for a more stable and prosperous Gaza were quickly dashed as internal Palestinian divisions deepened. Political rivalries and power struggles between different factions undermined efforts to build a unified and effective government. In 2006, Hamas, a Palestinian Islamist organization, won a surprise victory in Palestinian legislative elections. This outcome sent shockwaves through the region and the international community, raising concerns about the future direction of Palestinian politics. The Hamas victory led to a period of intense conflict with Fatah, the dominant faction within the Palestinian Authority. This internal strife resulted in a deep split in Palestinian governance, with Hamas controlling Gaza and Fatah administering the West Bank. In 2007, Hamas consolidated its control over Gaza through a military takeover, ousting Fatah forces from the territory. This event solidified the division between Gaza and the West Bank, creating 2 separate Palestinian entities. With Hamas in control of Gaza, Fatah remained the dominant political force in the West Bank, continuing to administer the territory under the umbrella of the Palestinian Authority. This division further complicated efforts to achieve a unified Palestinian state. In response to the Hamas takeover, Israel and Egypt imposed a blockade on Gaza, severely restricting the movement of people and goods in and out of the territory. The blockade was intended to weaken Hamas and prevent it from acquiring weapons. While the blockade aimed to isolate Hamas, its impact extended far beyond the militant group, affecting the lives of all Gazans. The restrictions on movement and trade created severe economic hardship and limited access to essential goods and services. The blockade, coupled with repeated rounds of conflict between Israel and Hamas, has had a devastating impact on Gaza's infrastructure and economy. Gaza's economy has been crippled by the blockade and the ongoing conflict, leading to widespread unemployment and poverty. Many Gazans struggle to meet their basic needs, relying on humanitarian aid to survive. Movement in and out of Gaza is severely restricted, with tight controls on who and what can cross the border. This has stifled trade and economic development. The ongoing blockade and the internal Palestinian division have become defining features of the Gaza Strip today. The future of Gaza remains uncertain, with little prospect of a lasting resolution. Today, nearly 2 million people live in Gaza, most of them refugees or their descendants. The blockade has crippled the economy. Unemployment and poverty are widespread, clean water is scarce, electricity is rationed, and hospitals struggle to cope. Yet Gazans adapt. Fishermen brave the sea, farmers grow food in tiny spaces, and engineers create solutions. Their resilience is seen in daily acts of survival, creativity, and solidarity. Beyond conflict, Gaza's culture thrives, rooted in centuries of history. Food is central. Seafood stews, spicy dishes, and traditional recipes connect families to their heritage. Art flourishes as expression. Embroidery, painting, and murals tell stories of struggle and hope. Community traditions are strong. Weddings unite neighborhoods, elders share stories. Poetry gives voice to longing. These cultural practices are vital acts of identity and resilience. They preserve memory and offer joy amid hardship. Culture is their anchor. The Gaza Strip is more than a conflict zone. It's a crossroads of ancient civilizations, religion, and modern geopolitics. Its story is written in ruins, remembered in scripture, and unfolding in real time. Understanding Gaza means seeing beyond the barbed wire, to look beyond politics into the history beneath the headlines. See real people with dreams and families. What surprised you most about Gaza's history? Let us know in the comments. Like and subscribe for more travel history adventures.